Hey everybody, welcome to this this episode of Think Business Live. I'm looking forward to talking with Pamela Eatman. Pamela, it's great to connect with you. Always appreciate Joan Frank of B Frank Communications connecting me with great people to interview. I just want to read your quick bio. You're a Chicago native, 20-year metropolitan Detroiter. You grew up tired of corporate America. As a trained artist, as well as a business person, you dreamed of one day opening up an art gallery last June. You realized that dream when you opened up the doors to Blackbird Gallery, which is blackbird-gallery.com, located in the Fisher Building, New Center area. And I wanted to dive in. Congratulations on opening your gallery. And I wanted to kind of talk into kind of tapping into the dream and kind of begin there. You know, as a business coach, I work with people all over the globe who are stuck and want to get unstuck, and I keep them unstuck. But I think sometimes people are stuck in not executing out their dreams. And so how did you get unstuck to fulfill your dream, Pamela?
Well, my husband and I had a distribution company for a little over 20 years, and it was primarily we were a distributor of Office Depot and Steelcase, and so we worked with corporate entities, Fortune 100s mostly, and did all of their office supplies across the country. Like being in Detroit, General Motors was one of our larger clients. Kellogg, so the Fortune 100s. So we basically were considered the wholesaler, the middle person, and we developed the relationships. And that was because we were minority owned, not because we were a minority owned business, but we did everything on our side. We didn't depend upon Office Depot except for the product, quite honestly, and the distribution piece of it.
Yeah.
So my husband passed. It was just 6 years ago, and two young men right now in their early 20s, and it left quite a hole in our lives. And so what I did was I continued to run the business for 4 years, and COVID hit. And if you're aware of office products, and when no one's in the office, no one needs office supplies or furniture. So, we had about 25 employees, and I wanted to keep going. So basically, I saw our monthly revenue go from over $1 million to $200,000 in that January of COVID, and continued there and stayed there. And so, I looked at my dreams and my goals, and one of those was 15 years ago, I actually wrote a business plan for opening an art gallery. And I got my degree in art as well as been in business, my entire career. So, about 15 years ago, I grew tired of corporate America. And I said, I want, and I think I was in my about 50, because I'm 63 now. And I said, I'm just tired, and I'm tired of struggling. I got a PPP loan. I got the EIDL loan. I really did everything that I could in order to, to survive COVID. But I had thought about doing it a few years before. So I revisited it after 15 years. And I said, boy, here's another risk, opening a business, a totally different type of business, a retail business, which I remember working at a retail Marshall Fields in college, but other than that, I hadn't had any retail experience. But, I actually took a trip. I took a trip to Sedona, and I needed that spiritual connection, and I needed help making that decision. I needed that strength to move forward. And I'm a very spiritual person, and I combine my logic, my business, and my spirituality. And so I did that. And, some wonderful things happened. There was a lot of energy that I received from a very energetic, place. And so I came back knowing that this is something that I need to do for myself. And that's what I did. And from there, I have just grown in 1 year. I've had some great experiences, and things have kind of, I work hard, but
Yeah.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
So I love that story, and I appreciate. I just want to I want to dive into more of you, but I just want to extract one thing. I think a lot of times when many people are in an adjustment period and they're trying to figure things out, it's so important to as we regulate ourselves, to recalibrate. We've got to kind of step back and go somewhere that fuels us or refuels us. And so kudos to you for kind of, I appreciate you sharing your story, because I think that's such an important piece that sometimes people overlook. They're too busy, they're to this, they're to this, but kind of stepping out of that, I think, is key. So think community, make sure you're taking enough time to step back, recalibrate, regulate yourself, go for a walk, go to a retreat, whatever you need to do,
Right.
go where that energy is.
Yeah.
Pamela, I want to kind of dive into that, though, because you talked about you're a spiritual person and you went somewhere that that you received the energy and the guidance you needed. Where did you go?
I went to Sedona, Arizona.
Okay, and what
And
was it in Sedona? Was it a place? Was it a person?
yeah,
Was it nature? What was it that gave you the universal energy that you
right.
needed?
So I've always been intuitive about things and people and myself and circumstances. And I believe things happen for a reason, and I manifest things that I want in my life. And I follow the rule: if you, if you're true to yourself and you're good to other people and contribute to life in a positive way, I believe that things happen in a good way. So
Yeah,
I had been to Sedona for my 60th birthday. I rented a house and took, several of my girlfriends, because I always wanted to visit. Well, I just felt some incredible things there, energy wise. And I came home and I carried that with me for weeks and weeks, just that good feeling. So I was struggling with the decision: do I sell the business? Do I just close the business? This is our company, our corporation. And it was tough because there was so much tied to it. I mean, my husband and I opened it 20 years ago, and that was our baby. We built that.
yeah.
And
I
so,
would imagine.
it was,
I would imagine you were, not to interrupt you, but I would imagine the emotional connection was pretty high.
oh my goodness,
Yeah,
very, very. But you know what? I stepped to the plate. He was always the finance guy because, he was a marketing and business major. And I always used to say that he focused on what has to be done operationally and financially to get to the next step. And I was more of the organizational development person, and I did sales. I'm a great salesperson, and I
yeah,
connect to people really well. So, in making this decision, I know how hard it is to run a business. I know everything that it takes, but this is something I've always wanted to do. So I was fearful, and I said, okay, here's a risk. And I needed some, I needed confidence to move forward that I could do this. So I went to Sedona, and there was a program. It was actually a retreat, and it's only one person at a time. So you're actually, there's a long interview process because they want to know you. So there were about, I want to say almost 12 practitioners, and it was everything from, like, you know, bringing the energy. And quite honestly, I don't know if people really believe in this, but I worked with the shaman, and we went into, you know, the up into the hills and the mountains, and I did things like hug a tree, and I learned about feeling energy from your, barefoot on the grass. And there was a vessel, and I took my fears and everything and then wrote them down and then burned them and put them in the river. Now, I can't say that I've always been a believer, but things happened to me there that I mean, give me chills to this day. Worked with an intuitive, worked with, the chakras. I mean, ringing bells and all of those things. So they were like 12, 12, and I spent like a half a day with them. And when I came home, I knew exactly this is what I need to do for myself more than anything, because I'm passionate about the arts. I'm a collector, and I've always been passionate. So I combine my business and my art side, and it's been a perfect match, and I'm happy again. I'm happy.
I love it. I love that whole story. I've actually taken a couple shaman classes, and I'm going to introduce you to somebody who does kind of gong therapy here locally. And I don't know if you've ever done that, but it's incredible if you don't know of him. But I want to just chat about, before we get into your business, I want to talk about one sentence at a time, the following: what it means to be intuitive, the one sentence way to manifest, and how to find fulfillment. So let's kind of tap into that for a second. So in a sentence, how would you define intuitiveness? And the reason I ask is for a lot of reasons. One, because I think during COVID, it gave people time to really kind of get a little bit more inside. And so I think people came out of COVID a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more because they were forced to do kind of inner work. I run my business on intuition, knowing what questions to ask, what to listen for, and things of that nature. But how would you define, as a business coach, how would you define intuition in a sentence?
Following. Okay, so it's a combination of your vision. It's a combination of listening to yourself and listening to others. And just, it's your gut. Don't question your gut. And I do, so that was my one sentence.
Yeah, that's good. You ever read any of Carolyn Meiss's work? Sacred Contracts, or she's great. You would love her work. She's a medical intuitive, and she writes, the name of her book is escaping me, but I'll get it in a minute. How would you define assuming Think Community, you're actually doing the work to execute, how would you define manifesting?
You have to be, number one, you have to want to know who you are, and you have to learn how to trust yourself. And I attend this it's a universalist church, so it draws from a lot of different religions, but the true belief is who you are as a person, and drawing on that and recognizing your strengths and your weaknesses, but not concentrating on the weaknesses, but saying definitively, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to strive for. And you have to work hard for it.
Yeah.
You have to truly believe that you can do it.
Yeah.
And then work for it, and things happen. Amazing things happen to me.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. One of my favorite, I want to talk about a sentence about fulfillment. Can you hear me? One of my favorite quotes by Tony Robbins is success minus fulfillment equals failure. And I think so many people are looking for fulfillment. What would you recommend that they kind of the first step, or the first one or two steps to finding their own personal fulfillment?
I think you need to know what it is. I think you need to, I reread the 4 Agreements.
I just recommended that book. on the call, right? 2 calls before you today. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's real stuff, and it simplifies things. And then while reading it, it's basically knowing knowing yourself, being true to yourself and others.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the last one is working hard. So in terms of manifestation, I mean, I knew about it, but you have to, and I think after Sedona and experiencing these unbelievable things that were unreal, I think I know that it's something real. I mean, it's a real thing.
Yeah. It's great.
And it works, and it can work for you.
Yeah. I agree with everything you shared, and I appreciate those. Thank you. Let's talk about your gallery. Let's talk about your gallery. As a business person, as an artist, I'm just talking to you a little bit. You know, you're able to use the left and right side of your brain really well, and you mix in intuitiveness, and then you got the black, the gray, and the white side of your brain all kind of moving in sync, which is great. And so, as a gallery owner, because your story has its story, every piece of art has its story. What's the story for someone when they walk in your gallery?
Yeah, you're spot on. Because with art, an artist, I lead with the story. I mean, the visual, is incredible, but then I want to know from the artist what's the story, because it has to be in line with with the vision that I'm attempting to build with the gallery. So what I've experienced is sort of, I mean, it's again, it just comes to me. People come in that gallery and they say to me, I mean, one lady just came in and said, "Oh, I have the chills. Oh, this is so beautiful." And people say, because I represent international artists and a lot of galleries in Detroit, and I do represent local artists as well, but I just don't want to limit it. I want to bring art from all over the world to people, in Detroit, because Detroit is an unbelievable arts community. Unbelievable.
Epicenter. Yeah.
Yep. And so for me, I knew I was doing something right when I was able to connect the artists that I developed a relationship and start representing, and the response that I got. Sometimes, it turned into a sale, other times it didn't, but I made an impact.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not about just business. And I actually just wrote this in part of, social media about the gallery. It's giving back. And again, that goes to manifestation. When you truly are passionate about something and you are sharing it with other people, they feel it. So they come into my gallery, people, and say, what incredible artist, how did you find them?
Yeah.
You just do work.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. So is that how you bring and hold what I'll call, for the sake of this discussion, the Sedona energy to your gallery?
Absolutely.
Your energy, the Sedona energy that you kind of morphed with, if you will, when you were in Sedona?
Yeah, and I've always kind of, been intuitive, and, it's reading people. And then, there's so many lessons that I learned the first year that I opened. And, you revisit your business plan. And my business plan is, the financial, the operational, the structure, but then I apply the humanness to that. And when you stay true to your vision, for me, the business plan should be, I mean, I know it should be cut short, marketing, financials, budgeting and all that. But I infused besides the structure, what I want that to look like. And it was very intentional. And so, like you said, combining, my right brain and my left brain, it came together for me. And I just knew that, okay, I'm right on the mark. And so I work 7 days a week. I work sometimes 14 hours a day. I'm always doing something.
Yeah.
But it's pleasurable. It's pleasurable. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. I'm sorry to hear about your husband, and he was young. You started your first business together.
Well, he started it, actually. He bought a business. a rather large business in Detroit. It had about 150 employees, moved here from Chicago. My kids were young, so making a big move like that, I stayed home for the first 2 years and got them settled. And then he's like, okay, well, you kind of are doing more shopping than usual. It's like the credit cards and everything, because I was bored because I
Yeah,
did
yeah,
so
yeah.
much. And he said, come on. And so I just kind of worked my way up,
All right,
learned the business.
good.
And we worked really well together,
Yeah,
really well.
yeah. Well, thanks for clearing that up. And so, but as you built it together, and now you started and built this, um, as an independent, um, what energy? Right, we talked about Sedona. What energy of his is in the business?
Yeah. Well, I believe he's watching over me because
Yeah,
some of the decisions that I make, it's like, because he was a finance guy. I mean, he was, you know, he was the financial guy, and I
yeah,
wasn't. I'm more organizational development and all that, and sales and so forth. And I had to learn it. I
yeah,
had I had to learn it. Not just I had to understand and apply. Okay, this this is where we are now. What cuts do I need to make? All my business reports, and my P&L and L and my balance sheet and all that stuff. I had to literally learn that. And I actually took a class, or I was GM sponsored me, Tuck University. They have a business program for adults and for business. So that was like a 7-day program, and at Tuck University, all adults, and we had, you know, professors to teach us the basics, and that was really, really helpful. So it's the not operational, but it's the financial that I really had to dig in deep.
yeah. Good, good. What a great story. So tell me, tell the Think community a little bit more about your gallery before we move into a quick speed round.
Sure. So the gallery, as I mentioned, draws from international artists. It's very intentional. The primary artists that I represent are Black artists, whether they're from Africa, whether they're from, the U.S. And one of the reasons why I focus on that is because we've been overlooked, and in the arts community. And so there are some incredible artists that need to be seen and need to be shown and developed in their careers, and that's happening. I'm doing really well in that segment, and I'm competing. In one year, I'm competing with the big guys.
It's great.
Yeah, and so I'm staying true to my beliefs. It's not that I don't bring on artists of other nationalities, but it's intentional and it's focused, and I feel like I'm giving back.
Yeah, it's beautiful. One of my favorite quotes is, "You're responsible for the energy you bring into the room," and when you're a leader, 98% of the way you move and think and everything you do is shown in the culture and the feeling. As a business coach, my intuition is also very high, and I can walk into an office, I can walk into a keynote. It doesn't matter what it is. I can feel the vibe of the way people
Absolutely.
move and walk and what the leadership is all about. And then I also can use, my ability to ask questions and turn all my intuition into business speak to kind of help companies grow. So it sounds like we have similar brains in a way. So it's great. Before the speed round, I just want to share the book I was talking about was Anatomy of the Spirit by Carolyn Mize, which I
Didn't have
think
to
you
write it
would, I think you would really, really enjoy. Let's do a quick speed round.
down.
A book that's had the biggest impact on you, Pamela.
Siddhartha. And I read it in high school, and it's still my favorite.
I have that book. I haven't read it yet. My daughter was just talking about that book. I think it's a sign I have to read it. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Um, to Because I'm a giver, So also, learn how to give to yourself, because it comes back and it's received by others.
Yeah, well said. Finish this sentence, last question. One way, the very first step, let me rephrase this. The very first thing that somebody can do to manifest for themselves is
To know their strengths and their weaknesses and fill in the blanks.
It's great. I put on the wrong thing above, but that's okay. Pamela, this was great. I really appreciate everything that you shared today. I appreciate you, being a storyteller and having your gallery that other people can tell their story, to be the eyes and voice for others who maybe aren't being seen enough. I think it's so beautiful. Think community. So many golden, just ideas that we talked about today that Pamela shared. As a business coach who works with people all over the globe who are stuck and get them unstuck, this podcast, Pamela, I love it because I get to have guests like you on that can help get people unstuck, which is in alignment with my one of my missions. I want to extract a couple of things that you shared today, which is the importance of unplugging and knowing where to refuel your energy, the importance of giving back. And although you have to do the hard work, you can manifest and just be patient. And, everything happens for a reason. And just never stop trying to fulfill your dreams and making other people feel good. And being a voice for others, I think, is so important. When you have the gift to do that, it's a responsibility that I think a lot of people feel. So thank you for doing what you do. Any last thoughts? I want to give people how can they connect with you? How can they reach out to you? Go to the gallery, etc.
Yep. So it's Blackbird Gallery, located in Detroit, Michigan. Like you mentioned, blackbird-gallery.com, and I have all of the artists and the work and information about shows and so forth. So I'd like you to come in, and feel and see how you feel about the art, and then of course buy some art if you're able.
Good. The salesperson in you had to come out at the end. I love it. All right, good. Think community, if you want to reach me, you can reach me at johndwoskin.com. Pamela, this was a pleasure. Again, thank you to Joe and Frank, Be Frank Communications, for connecting us. Wish you continued great success in everything that you do, and all the lives and bright light that you bring into the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, John.